Okay, so it's clearly having a harder time lifting now than it normally would. Okay, make sure you mark off your first hour low as well on your chart, which is clearly most likely going to be this area here. Here we go, 1941. Everyone should have a scale at worst for 6 ticks, right, at this point. So 3,800 is going to be pretty pivotal here, right? I'm going to trust that we're going to get that 15-point rotation up. And remember, if you take this short in NQ, there's a huge risk of us just grinding right back up through that, okay? Remember, there's news that really affects the market, and then there's news that temporarily affects the market. And this could easily simply fall under news that temporarily affects the market and is actually not a driver, right? What does that mean? We end up grinding all day long. But it doesn't look like that's the case. Wow, we just can't get up off the mat off this thing. Come on, let's go. The problem with just to give you a reference, where I get into trouble in the past, right, is I would see a move like this and I would interpret it as, oh, we're going to roll over the whole day. That's, in my opinion, is the incorrect interpretation. We have no way of knowing how this news is going to impact. It's not obviously an actual event. They didn't say they were said at the first quarter of 2015. Okay, so that's 6 months away. That's a lifetime as far as the market's concerned, right? They could be jawboning and just trying to hold the market down. That tends not to last, right? And the one key to this market has been the absolute strength back to the upside time and time again, right? So the question is, do I see one day, do I let my emotions get a hold of me and go, oh, I want to short this day, that's it? Or do I keep playing what's been working all along? Traps to the upside have been working consistently. For me, right, not jumping the gun on rotation size, letting the full 15, right, heck, letting the full 15 actually play out, right, causes me no harm whatsoever. All I can say is as it's moving up, if you took that trade, right, scale as it's moving up. Don't make it an all or none proposition. It doesn't have to be that way. Although, admittedly, I was hoping we'd get more than this. On NQ, so far there's absolutely been no traps whatsoever on NQ. We have not broke the prior day's low, and we did not trap. Well, actually, I take it back. We did barely trap on Globex low, but it was. I didn't call the trade out per se. I didn't even consider taking it. Now that I look at it, it did close exactly at 38.12, which technically would have been an A-grade trap, but I can't go into the traps in detail because there's so many variables on them. But basically, and I don't know who I'm speaking to, whoever DAMO is. I'm not clear. So, but basically, what the idea behind the traps are, right, is here, if this would be, you'd have to letter this B-grade trap, means it's not as high quality. There's A-grade traps and B-grade traps. An A-grade trap would have been if we like closed here and then we closed back into the zone on a 5-minute bar. That would have been an A-grade trap, and I would have expected it to go to the other end of the range. But and the stop would have been basically 1 point behind this swing low, or a 5-point stop behind. You could have chosen either one, right? On this, in the current configuration, the way we are, those stops are working. But there was no trap. There is no trap down here. It's obviously overshot the white zone, which is not uncommon for, I have two places where I could have put the white zone, by the way, this morning. I could have put it here. I could have put it here. I was really thinking we would get the reaction out of here, and you can see they paused it there for, they've actually tried to hold it here and pause it here and push it the other way. So that was kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario either way. But the white zone obviously is doing its job. It's causing the market to pause, which is very good and very encouraging in that particular case. Guys, don't forget to scale on the way up. 1941 now. Okay, so that's almost a recovery of 3 points from the 4-point stop that we took, if you took that with me earlier. Okay, and I have my eyes on that 38.04 as an area to short NQ. Okay, but again, I'm not certain this is a down day. Okay, I'm taking another scale at 1941 and a quarter if they'll give it to me. Okay, that leaves me with about a third of this trade done. Okay, and this is exactly what I mean by when it's at the lows, guys, it never looks clean. It never, ever, ever looks good. Okay, guys, and by the way, considering the action we have and what time it is, 9:30, there's nothing wrong with taking this trade off here, and I probably will finish this trade out because it's too early to get a complete reversal, at least in my humble opinion it is. Okay, so I'm keying off of this 3800 area on NQ. I just don't trust this move back up, and it's the first time of rotating back up into the white zone. So I'm taking 1941 and 3/4. I'm taking another scale. This is going to leave me almost completely out of the trade, by the way. And the tick is pretty strong here. I'm going to close out the entire trade right here at 1941 and 3/4, guys. So color me completely done. And wow, there you go. Look at that. So there's the pop. And color me short 3803.
Order, fill. Order, rejected.
On NQ.
Order rejected.
And by the way, my stop on this NQ trade, is considerable. It's 10 points. I have fewer contracts in, okay, but it is 38.13. I may be wrong on this. Okay, so this is incredibly aggressive, and it's into a poorly auctioned area, FYI. Okay, so this is just in front of that 15-point rotation that I'm taking the trade. Okay, but when I'm combining the fact that we spiked on the tick, we're right into the white zone on ES. So we'll see. I could be completely wrong on this, and I may bail on this quicker than I say I am. I'm going to have to play a little bit of this by touch. Okay, so that certainly takes a lot of the bite off, but yeah, Ron makes a great point. He said, he got out early on the trap because the first 30 minutes were nerve-wracking. Understand, guys, on the trap trade, it's always going to look like crap. It's going to look scary as hell. It's going to look like it's going to zero. It always will. There's no way to get around that. Okay? And I may be completely wrong on this NQ trade, by the way. This is not it's not the greatest setup in the world, quite frankly. So keep that in mind. And that's why I was saying I was trying to figure out if this is really bad news or if this is just an overreaction and a lack of shorts to help absorb the downside. Oh, Damien, there you go. I was wondering. Damien, did you? I mean, we didn't even move into Globex high this morning on Damien. That would have been an upside trap, which would have been fine. I probably would have taken that to the short side. The only trap that you could have possibly read would have been on that second 5-minute candle as an A-grade trap. Okay, but otherwise there are no traps. We have a first hour low coming up here in 6 minutes. But does everyone see how, because I was able to keep my head and not panic, I've been able to scrub a great deal, not all of it, but a great deal of that first 4-point loss off, right? Didn't panic on NQ. Actually got a pretty good read and was able to tighten up the stop, right? That certainly saved me a bunch of dollars in my trading account, right? No, I wasn't long the lows from NQ. If anything, it would have been from the white zone, and I didn't take it. I actually had my eyes on the ES there. Okay. If you took the NQ short with me, don't forget to take some scales, guys. I'm going to scale here in just a minute. I'm watching closely. A little bit more. 37.99 scaled.
Order filled.
Okay. So that's a +4. And I took 1/3 of the trade off there. Now you have a choice at this point. You can bring your stop up to that swing high, or now you can bring it if you're going to bet that was the high, right? Or if you're going to re-enter it, or you can bring your stop to 1 point above the swing high, or leave it just as I just where it was to begin with. It should be in your trading plan how you're going to handle that. Okay, and for each trader it's different. Some people are fine with taking that scale and then moving the stop to break even. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That was pretty critical area if you look behind yesterday, and that was also a 15-point rotation up. So I want to give this some room to see if we can't work back down to the downside, right? So now let's start that count over again. If we have a 15-point rotation down from this high, okay, and by the way, please scale, okay? This is not a sure deal, okay? This thing can whip 10 points either way with the quickness, okay? As a matter of fact, I'm going to take it down to half right here at 37.98. I didn't get a quarter, 50. 37.98.50. I've taken it down to half the position. Okay, so I've already significantly reduced my losses in NQ as well. Now you have a choice. If you're down on the day, all you got to do is bring that stop down. You can either bring it to the swing high, right? You can leave it where it's at, or you can move it to net break even so it doesn't cause you any damage. Either way does not matter. Does this all make sense to everyone? I'm trying to set a good example of what to do when you get caught flat-footed like I did this morning and you get blindsided by news. The whole point of the deal is to stop and reset so that you can keep your money. Okay, you can keep your trades. My only goal at this point of the day is to minimize damage, and I've done that. Okay, so I took, well, what did I take out of the gate? I forget. I'm going to have to go and add it back up, right? But I know I took a hit on NQ out of the gate, 5 points. I took a hit on the white zone, right? 4 points there. I've taken the trap trade, and I forget where I've scaled at this point, but I know I took one scale at 6 ticks. I think I took another one at 2 points or 3 points. Okay, I'll go and add it, what is the gambler song? You can count your money after the dealing's done. And at this point, I've taken pretty much a good entry at 38.03, right, on NQ to the short side, and you've had the opportunity to scale as much as 5 off of that. Okay, so I've minimized losses. Okay, I have stops in place, and I can afford to let this play out a little bit and let the market come to me at this point. Okay, no one day matters, right? No one trade matters unless you make it that way. Keeping your head about you is everything. Everyone should have their spreadsheet and their stats open, okay? So you can refer to that, and that's what gives you confidence when it looks scary as crap. You take your trades as they set up, because that trap trade looked like shit to me. If you ask me, I've been like, man, I don't want to take that. Especially when I'm on in front of all of you, man, my ego's like, man, choose some other day to look stupid. Don't look stupid today. 9:30, mark off your first hour lows and highs. They're pretty obvious where they are. I wish I was long, Damien. That's certainly a nice thought to have been long from the lows, but I didn't get it. I was too busy getting chopped and smacked around on the other trade. Okay, guys, I gotta step away for just a split second. Guys, I'm scaling a little bit more right here at 96 3/4. Okay, and then I'll leave the rest. I'm moving my stop now to break even, and we'll see where it goes. So that was essentially, what is that, 6 points, okay, $120 a contract, wipes out the majority or a great deal of the losses from this morning, and that is how you stay even keel on a fat, nasty, ugly day. Okay, and then we'll see if we can get a home run with a little bit of balance that's left. Does anyone have any questions over that sequence or how I handled things or how I didn't handle things? Criticism, critique, questions? It won't bother me. None of it does. As a matter of fact, I'm most confident in an environment like this is when I'm most confident, and I'm happy to see the market actually rotating like this. It means we're going to have some great trading opportunities. Okay, we rotated into the white zone. We rotated out of the white zone. We rotated into this location here, right? Had I simply taken my trade here, I don't think we got tagged out from 72 3/4, did we? Excuse me, this is a bit hidden. From 37 3/4, the low was, no, you sure didn't. So you survived that. So had I simply taken the second zone and it hadn't even waited for the trap, again, it waited. We came into the white zone. We've rotated out. This is actually great freaking news as far as I'm concerned. So because it means the rotations are coming back, uncertainty would be fantastic for this market, because what's killing us is the fact that everyone is so certain that we are moving straight up. That is what's hurting us so badly. Okay, so stop is now break even on this NQ trade. I've given it a shot. Okay, it was an aggressive trade. I've taken most of it off by now. And my day, I'm still down, but it's moderate. Is everyone else doing okay? And this is the quietest it's ever been. Jackson, you all right? I haven't heard from you. Okay, good. Did you take the trap on ES to the long side? I'm talking to Jackson specifically. Did anyone take the trap besides me? How many people took the trap? Ron, I know you did. Good job there. Nice. Good job. Good job, Walt. Ian, nice. Nice work. All you guys, great job. And this is what look, the easy days pay us, right? If we don't have confidence when it gets hard, when it gets moving fast, okay, then we deserve to get our asses kicked after all the work we do, especially the guys who've been on the one-to-one coaching. If you can't look at your spreadsheets and use them when it gets incredibly difficult or the market starts moving fast, because if you don't have a database to work against, all that you've got left is emotion, right? And having to judge this right off the, basically bouncing off the wall, using the rotations to get short at 38.03, right? 38.04 was the 15-point rotation. I front ran it by a point. We used the spike in the tick to help us out. The trap trade setting up. When it looks like crap and straight into nasty red candles and going up, there's the trap trade. We're going to take the setup, right? And being patient, taking scales, but being patient and letting it work itself through. Okay? That is where, and congratulations to all you guys. It looks like everyone did pretty good. Am I the only guy that's down today? Okay, good job. Nice to see that, Jackson. Got back green on that. Good job, Walt. Nice job. You're up. So if you ever want to trade huge size, right, and you ever want to have the confidence to put on significant contracts to make your account grow, you've got to trust your spreadsheets and you've got to trust your trade setups, okay? The only option was, right, when we identify potential open drive lower, some of you guys have it that you don't take trades. But you've got to have that written down, and that's fine too. You can wait till after 9:30, right? That usually sets up our prime reversals. Now I got to tell you, if we break this low, right, down here, just planning a little bit ahead, if we break this low, I'd rather see us trap back above first hour low than try to trade the trade out of this area. Why? We're poorly auctioned here. I'd rather focus on 1928 and a quarter as my long location for a move back to the upside. I didn't think it was open drive because I didn't think it was going to turn into an open drive lower, Harry, because there was no news and I didn't see any news there and there was no gap, right? So the fact that most open drives lower do not develop out of a gap up. They do occasionally, but it's pretty rare. Okay, so it's all right that it did, but that's the reason why I had to identify it as a potential open drive lower just because of the way it was behaving, but because I didn't realize that I think it was Brenner as his name was speaking, I kind of got a little bit blindsided on that one. So otherwise, you're absolutely right. If we had gapped down and I'd seen that same setup on a gap down, I would not have stepped in there. I can assure you. But that's a great point. And Harry comment was the only question I would have is that you have a rule not to step in front of an open drive, and you mention it every day, but today you did. And so I was explaining to him why I stepped in front of that trade. Okay, and that's exactly why I did. Otherwise, he's completely correct. I'd actually be up nicely on the day if I'd simply stepped aside, if I'd sidestepped that. Man, if we can get NQ to roll on this last piece, would be beautiful. But that's a big if. Right? We're most likely, what is Tick saying right now we're going to do, right? So remember, we got to keep adapting with the market. We've gotten news. We know the news isn't horrendous, right? We may raise interest rates. Well, we may not. Hell, 6 months is a lifetime, economically speaking. Besides, everyone knows we manipulate the economic data numbers to fit what the Fed wants to do, right? So what do we got here? We got ES. We've now gone to, so let's look at the tick. Here's the plus minus 500. So right now we're showing plus or minus 500. What that tells me, right, we spiked in, we nailed that, right? So now what would that tell me next? Potentially, so we have two potentials here. We're either going to, we drop, this is the first rotation up, and now we're going to have a drive lower, right? Or, okay, so the question is for the day, are we going to continue to drive lower to new lows, or are we going to find responsive buyers, right? If this tick stays plus or minus 500 and spikes like we did here, right, at the low, then I would expect them to break new lows and then snap it back into the middle. If, however, we start registering negative 500, negative 800 and holding down here on the tick reading, then I would expect us to auction through that 1935, 1933 area and come back and test that 1928. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for right now. And we'll see. Right now, it's plus or minus 500 is what it's showing. So it's after 9:30. What happens? What did I say after the first hour? We're expecting balance. So it wouldn't surprise me to see us get this the rest of the afternoon. The other thing we have to adjust for emotionally, right? We want a larger extension down. We want the momentum to continue. And that's very addictive, mentally speaking. You've got to make the shift. You got to make the shift. If it's going to be balanced, you got to make the shift to balance and let that play out. So we'll see. Right now it's showing balance, but it's just the first hour. I think we'll find out a lot more here over the next couple of minutes. Either way, zone-wise, we don't have a trade, right? This is the first zone that sets up. We know this zone is relatively weak. We need a 1 minute tick divergence to take a trade here, preferably, right? We will, excuse me, I stand corrected. Let me go off the 5 minute chart. No, I stand corrected. Preferably, we get back to this 1928 and a quarter, right, for a move back to the upside. But right now we're showing balance, and that's also an extremely big extension, okay? So we've taken most of the NQ off. Man, I don't got a whole lot to add besides that. I think we're doing a good job, personally. Thanks, Ron. They still may push it higher, man. They may come and tag out this last little bit that I have. So right now we're showing balance. And guys, just so you know, I'm going to drop off here in just a couple of minutes. I moved up a coaching session so I could watch the World Cup. Yes, Ian, I'm going to believe that the U.S. can beat Germany. That is what I'm going to believe. So, anyways, we know what the game plan is, right? Trap trade is still in effect. We had the 1 hour trap trade, right? There's nothing that says we can't come all the way back up. Keep in mind, guys, all of this up here is poorly auctioned. We can just get a mirror move back the other way. Don't get overly convicted to the short side. Measure your rotations, right? Obviously, we nailed it on the short side on NQ, right? On that last rotation up. Okay. Trap trade's in effect. Watch the 1 hour low and potential 1 hour low for trap trade. That's really what I'm hoping we get later today, preferably after the soccer game, is a trap back above and a push higher. But they may not. This is what I was hoping for yesterday morning, quite frankly, but we didn't get it. No doubt. Ian pointed out that the U.S. men's soccer team better avoid the open drive lower. So it looks like I'll get tagged out on this last little piece on NQ, which is fine. And let's just see where the market develops the rest of the day. I got a feeling we're going to move into balance now anyways, which was what we called for prior. That was a very interesting open drive lower day. And I think the takeaway, as I was jotting in my notebook just a couple minutes ago, the takeaway from this is keep your head when things start going south. Have your spreadsheets handy because it's always going to look like crap at the lows. Okay, and if we freaked out, or even worse, you shorted the lows, right, you're in the hole. If you shorted too early, right, you didn't wait for the proper rotation in NQ, you were struggling to get that money out of that trade. Where we did take the trade on all of them, we were up actually on that NQ trade originally, up just a bit, right? So I could have taken it for just scalped it out. I was hoping for much more, obviously. So Ballard wasn't anywhere on any calendar as far as I can see, okay? And I really think that the reason my account survives is because when I get to scenarios like we got to this morning, I am able to keep my head about me. And look, the other scenario is I took a second stop in ES and I was done for the day. And that is all right. The stop losses I have in place are acceptable parameters for my account. My account can survive those stops, okay? I promise you there's guys, when you trade undisciplined, I will hear from people today that are like, well, I took the trade here, and 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 then I thought it was short, so I shorted here. I flipped because I thought then we were going lower after the news, and they just end up with racking up losses up and down. Okay, disciplined traders don't do that. I stuck to my trade plan. It saved my bacon, and hopefully, it looks like most everyone had an up day. If you didn't, it's okay. Okay, you don't always have to kill it every day. It's just to keep your P&L balanced on days when it's not there. We'll get enough days where we hit, like we did the other day, NQ for 24 points. Okay, we'll have those days, and they'll pay us very nicely. So, anyone have any questions, or I'm going to kill it, and I assume they're going to tag this 3803. Maybe not, but I assume they are. Okay, guys. No questions. I had a wonderful day. I think I did. I feel really good. I'll give myself. Actually, I'm going to give myself an A for this morning. I don't think I could have done it much better than what I did, considering that we were blindsided by Niz. So, if anyone has any questions, you can hit me. I will be watching the World Cup game shortly after 11 a.m. this morning. I'll keep my eye on the market, but I don't intend to get distracted from the market. Unless something dramatic happens, I won't be calling out anything. Okay, talk to you later, guys. See ya.